and Phil Jackson, but mainly Jordan, has a press conference the day before. He called us thugs, bad for basketball, you know, all that was being talked about. And then called us undeserving champions.
That thing is never gonna thaw, is it? That Jordan, Isaiah thing, unfortunately, like we can give you some holiday cliches. Hey, it's the holiday season. Let's appreciate all the things that we have and all this wonderful. No. These guys, it ain't happening, is it?
As we know, labels never work for black folks. Can you think of a label that works for black people?
Give Steph the MVP. Give him the MVP because the Dubs are trash without Steph. Natalie has brought this up before. We may have gone above and beyond, maybe gone too far, talking about all the talent that's around Steph. No, Steph, man, Steph makes that whole thing go. And you take him out, I mean, I ain't worried about Golden State without Steph. I don't care what happens. If they don't have Steph, they're not a playoff team. I'm gonna say that. They are not a playoff team without Steph Curry.
I think Stephen Curry is the most indispensable player in the NBA. Like, only one person can drive that very sophisticated Golden State Warriors car. I've never driven a stick in my life, right? You ask me to drive a stick, I'm gonna be looking at you like, you know, something's wrong, right? Never done it before.
You're missing out. It's great. I'm telling you.
I like my vehicle. I'll send you a picture of it later.
Let's talk about the overall funding of school.
Okay.
And
we're talking about HBCUs.
Period. I wanted to bring solvency to how are we broke? How are we always asking?
Right.
Why are we always in the deficit?
Right.
Everybody? You mean everybody? That's a problem for me. So let's investigate that. Not saying that anybody is stealing or doing anything unfair. Let's investigate it. So let's find the fault. So if it's the state, if it's the government, where is this coming? This lack thereof. Let's find it. Mm-hmm. I was willing to hire a team to audit and find this because it's impossible for all of us to be in the same situation.
Right.
Unless it is true that only 77% of graduates are giving back to their alma maters, and when they give, it's not substantial.
Right.
So I believe that's a problem.
You had a problem with going to play these bowl games, playing classics,
yes,
and saying the money goes to the general scholarship fund. It goes to the school instead of the football.
Who's playing the game? Who's at risk?
Right.
We are. So why should that not be in its totality ours?
Right.
Because we want enough to get us there.
Right.
And that's my problem. And then when it comes to the classics, I just had a problem with that. It's another home game.
Right. That we lost.
We played in Miami last year, which was a classic, wonderful classic at that. We played in Memphis, which is a classic, wonderful classic, and we played in Alabama. That could have been 3 home games. And if we do our mathematics correctly and handle our business, that's at least $1.5 million a game. At least. We ain't see that. That would have been great, not for only the football department, but it would have helped the other departments as well. So that's just the way I think. My thinking is maybe because where we've been in life. Mm-hmm. It's way down the street.
Right.
It's not there. It's way down the street.
Whoa. There's so much there to unpack. We will unpack it today on Brother from Another. We got Jim Trotter. He's going to be in just a second. We've got Natalie, who's going to join us as well. They both have some strong opinions on Deion. Let me just put that up front. They got strong opinions on Deion, as do I, as does everyone. I mean, like, Deion left Jackson State and it has moved on to Colorado. It was recruiting day yesterday. There's lots of Colorado news, but he's got one foot in Boulder and the other foot still in Jackson because this story is not really going anywhere. So we'll get to that. We have Marc Spears who'll give us some NBA talk in about 40 minutes. But first, before I get to all that, let me just say this. Where are my manners? Let me say this. Family, happy holidays. Happy holidays to y'all and your families. We appreciate you. We're excited. Unfortunately, it's our last show of 2022. Jim Trotter. We're going to see everybody again in 2023, but it's happy holidays to you too, my friend. Happy holidays to you and your family. I love this time of year, regardless of where you stand, regardless if you're religious or not. I don't care what your faith is. I don't care what your beliefs are. I just like the excitement. I like the lights. I like gifts. I like the music, everything. I'm even dressed for the occasion. I'm feeling very Christmassy, very seasonal today, Jim.
Very
How you
festive.
doing, brother?
Very festive.
Yeah, festive.
No, I appreciate that.
How you doing?
Same to you and yours and all the listeners and viewers. And by the way, I appreciate you kind of carrying that there while I have my technical difficulties. So,
technical difficulties.
Much love.
That's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
much love to you for that. So go ahead.
I like that. I like that we start off this way. We're saying much love because, hey, guess what? We're about to have a family fight, like some of y'all will over the holidays. Don't think it's going to be different than last year or the year before, that. Every year you come in with great intentions. Hey, I'm going to see my cousin. I'm going to see my aunt, my uncle. You know, last time we had a fight, but this time you have the niceties in the beginning, and then the gloves are off. So our gloves are about to be off because as we played at the beginning, this is a conversation. This is like our trigger. And we just can't get enough of it. So Deion Sanders had a sit-down interview with Shannon Sharpe from Club Shay Shay, Shannon's podcast, which I love, by the way. So these are two Hall of Famers, Hall of Fame tight end, Hall of Fame cornerback, teammates with the Ravens back in the day, just having a conversation about HBCUs. And once again, the conversation, Jim, it traveled many places, but goes back to Jackson State and why Deion left Jackson State. And all these opinions that surround it. And I have come to the conclusion that there was that your mind will not be changed. Nobody's whatever your position is. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people out there. If you feel like Deion should have stayed, at Jackson State, there's nothing he can say. There's no context that he will give that will make you change your mind because you are dug in. We've heard from you. You're dug in. If you think Deion had every right to pursue his dream of coaching at the highest level, and there's nothing anybody can say against that will make you say, oh, you know what? No, he should have stayed at Jackson. So it is black, it is white, and that's it. There's no middle ground here. There's no reaching across the aisle. And I just want to know from you, because I see your feed item on the screen. You say, let it go, Deion. What do you mean by that? Let it go. Let what go?
Man, you're preaching from the pulpit today, huh? Look, it's this.
Yes.
To me, Deion is like that dude who had been dating a woman for a few years, and they break up, and Deion says, it's all good. I love you. You know, we're straight. It just didn't work, right? And then he goes out and keeps talking about this ex rather than just letting it go. And not only does he keep talking about this ex,
is that not normal?
He starts bringing up these things that, you know, maybe she thought was just between the two of them. My point is, Deion, let it go. Because first of all, some of the things that he is saying out there are not factually true, particularly as it relates to the give back to the schools, donors or alums giving back to the school. And he says that, you know, he and Shannon say they're giving 7 or 8%, but that's the larger population, the general average for all schools. It's not just HBC schools. In fact, many HBC, I shouldn't say many, but some HBC schools are, the alumni are actually giving more than 8% back to those schools. And I believe that Jackson State is one of them. So from that standpoint, I'm like, Deion, you're in Colorado now. Just let it go. Let it go. And if I heard you say that this is the reason that he's left, he's talking about the reason that he left. I thought he left because God told him there was another calling for him. And that was at Colorado.
Right. No, he said that.
So right.
He said God told him to come to Jackson State.
Right.
And God told him to go. Right.
So all of these So no, what I'm saying here is all of these things that are now being brought up are not a factor in him leaving, at least as I would understand it, because God telling you to leave. It's not these factors
Fair.
here
That's
about,
fair.
you know, school being underfunded, facilities not right, or assistant coaches not getting paid at the level that they should. This was a call. So people say, well, Deion's just answering the question that was asked of him. Point is, and you know Michael Holley, Deion's been around enough to know how to hold the narrative. And if he does not talk about Jackson State, he does not have to. He can say simply, look,
No,
I'm in Colorado now. That's where my focus is, right?
Yeah, I know, but listen, Jim Trotter. Now, I'm just going to tell you this. How can I say this? How can I say this?
So you're going to tell me you're one of those dudes that spoke poorly of your exes, right? Is that what you're going to tell me? Is that what you're going to tell me?
No. Just the opposite.
Okay.
Just the opposite. Just the opposite.
That's what Deion is doing. Because that's what Deion is doing here, right?
Let me set the record straight.
If we're using that metaphor, right?
Let me set the record straight. Let me see. Where is my wife right now?
Yeah.
I don't have any exes. My wife is my first girlfriend. Okay. It ain't no exes. Ain't no crushes. Okay.
Hold on.
It's one.
No. We're not gonna let that. No. You are not getting away.
No. I'm just playing.
How long have you been married?
I'm just playing. 15,
Yeah, I know you are.
15 years. 15 years.
Okay.
15 years. But you know, here's the thing. Now, just as an aside, just pull off on the side street, then we'll come back on the main road. Not only do I have respect for the people I've dated, I've even taken it so far. I've taken that to the classroom. I've done before when students, before I was teaching, students would come to me and want to do profiles on me. I'd always say to them, I was teaching before I was even the teacher. Okay, I would say to them, you know what?
Okay.
If you're gonna be a journalism student, don't do these sunny profiles on people where everything they do is great and everything about them is amazing. I know you wanted to profile me for your class, and I've got many flaws. I've got things that I am not even going to tell you about. I would tell them, I say, why don't you call some of my exes? I did, straight up, true story. I say, call my exes and ask them. You need to learn how to tell a complete story. So I'm respectful, and I know they got some stuff to say.
You gave them numbers to your exes.
And
you gave them numbers to your exes.
Yep, I said call them. If you're gonna do a profile, do it the right way. Call people who say nice things about me, and call people who say, well, you know, he is a little insecure. Or come on, we're gonna do it the right way. Let's do it.
Never. No, I've never done it, nor will I ever do it. Never.
Oh, shame on you.
No,
yeah, what you afraid of, Jim?
What's in the past can stay in the past.
Yeah. So, but no, I was going to say this. I was trying to think of a way to say it. The reason Deion keeps talking about this, and I'm going to say this, and then we'll bring in Natalie because I know she's got some opinions on it as well. The reason he keeps talking about Jackson State is because he is on social media. He is influenced by what people are saying on social. And this family conversation is ongoing. And people, look, you call a black man, a black woman, a sellout.
Right.
Okay. A lot of folks just can't let that go. Okay, one person says it like, okay, I ain't gonna worry about what they said. I know who I am. But if you have, even if it's 10% of the people are saying, oh, he lied, he's a sellout, whether they're mocking the call to Jackson or the call to Boulder or his intentions, calling him a fraud, all this stuff, I think it maybe affects him personally. Maybe. It definitely affects him professionally because that's another motivation. You can say, you can say it's the humanity of Deion that's speaking out, or maybe it's the self-interest of Deion because this is a recruiting game and he's still working. He's in Colorado. So now you're messing with his business by saying what he's about.
But to your point that you began all of this with, people are tribal on this. They're in their corners. You are not changing their mind. So nothing that Deion says from this point or going forward is going to change someone's mind, I believe. So again, just move on. You've moved on from Jackson State. You were at Colorado. Nothing you say in these interviews that you do now is going to change people's opinion. So focus on what it is that you are doing now, right? If you're comfortable in everything that you did at Jackson State, if your intentions were pure, if you did the things, if you believe you did the things you said you wanted to do, you accomplished those things, let it go. Move on. But Deion's never going to do that.
I tell you who else is not going to move on, and I appreciate her always bringing it, always ready with a strong take. Here she is, our social media guru, producer extraordinaire, everything. I can't even put a label on you. I can't put a label on you, Natalie. You just do a little bit of everything. So, I was following you earlier. I saw you tweeting about this, and you had some strong opinions on Deion. What is your position on what Deion said to Shannon Sharpe during the Shay Shay podcast?
Yeah, I mean, my position is just really more in general about being informed on the topics that you speak of. And I mean, Jim touched on this a little bit early because the information wasn't accurate, and I'm not a fan of things being misrepresented. It's irresponsible. And he's not qualified to speak about, and neither is Shannon Sharpe to even host that interview, to be candid, about what ails HB. Yeah,
okay, I mean, go ahead. I'm listening. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so I'm not someone who's like, stick to this, right? I understand that he's a member of the media now. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are actually people dedicated to this, like who've done the research, who've done the work and know. And so if you want to have this conversation, you need to also include those people. So we're having a conversation that's reflective with the accurate information, right? Because you're presenting data that's not even accurate. And part of the reason you're doing that is probably to tell a narrative or to a story for your friend, for Deion, so he can put what his narrative is out there. And I just don't appreciate that. Have all the facts, have all the information represented, and have people who actually know this topic, because we want people to actually understand. Don't get on TV and admonish the alums of HBCUs. They should actually be commended, because the fact that they're donating at the same clip or at a higher rate than people who go to PWIs, when you think about the communities and the populations that HBCUs serve, more than likely we're of less resources anyway, right? The people who went to those institutions are likely to not even have as many resources, so that they are giving back at the same rate or close to it as the national average. That's not something to get on a program and admonish them over. So I just don't appreciate that. I don't care that I'm not gonna say I don't care. Of course I have opinions on whether he left or stayed, but that's not what this is about for me. This is just about what you're representing in the media.
Do you think preach on it? Preach.
Yeah, do either of you think, because he clearly, I mean, everybody, and this, it's not even debatable. He got the information wrong. He and Shannon Sharpe got a lot of the information wrong with regard to that. So that's got to be cleaned up.
But Michael, can I say this? Hold on one second. Wait. Hold on. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I'll give it to you. But the last thing I want to say, and I'll give it to you, Jim, but I want to make this point. When Natalie said that person should be represented, no. This is a sit down between Deion Sanders and Shannon Sharpe. That's what the people want to see. They don't want to see an academic there. They don't want to see a representative from HBCUs. It is his responsibility to get that information correct. True. He should have. Come on.
I don't think.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to see it?
Let me say. Okay. If it's a conversation between Deion Sanders and Shannon Sharpe, I frankly don't want anybody else in there. Now, I don't want them to be reckless with the information. I don't want them to be erroneous, just throwing stuff out there. They were. I got it. But the suggestion that at the beginning of the interview, when you're talking about a number of things, you're talking about football, you're talking about Prime Academy, you're talking about Jackson State, you're talking about Colorado, the suggestion that at the beginning of the interview, we're going to have a sit down between Shannon Sharpe, Deion Sanders, and Joe Davis from the institutional development department at Jackson State. You think that's great TV? I don't. They should have gotten it right. They screwed it up.
But there are people who are on TV, who are great at this, who know the information and are engaging. It doesn't have to be some academic scholar. There are very well-informed people who go on TV all the time and talk about these things, who are engaging. That's not the point. But, who would make for a great conversation.
Deion Sanders, but you guys are holding Deion Sanders to something that he's not. Deion, Jim, I'm not going to say the person's name. So I remember talking to a guy at the NFL Network years ago. I mean, this is probably a decade ago. And I said, who is your number one personality? Now, the guy, I'm being real with you, all right? This is family. I'm going to talk for real. He said, unfortunately, it's Deion Sanders. He said, Deion is my top guy. He's not always informed. He said this. Okay, this is an NFL Network executive. He's not always informed. His subjects and verbs don't always agree. He still does things that grate on me. But there's something about him that draws a crowd to him. So look, Deion Sanders.
No one is denying that.
But okay, so the point is you're asking Deion to be all things to all people, or he should be all things. He's not. He's an entertainer.
He brought this
He's
up.
A recruiter.
No one asked him for this conversation, though. He brought it up. We're not asking him to talk about HBCUs anymore.
But it sounds like you are, because now you're saying, well, somebody else should be there. Well, why can't the conversation between Deion and Shannon stand on its own? You asking for a TED Talk and a living room interview.
Can I tell you why? Because it is too important and it is too dangerous for them to be out there spewing inaccuracies as it relates to these things. That's why. This is not a conversation about football where Deion may not have his facts right, or he may not have his noun and verb agreement, or whatever, this person told you. This subject is too serious. And for him to perpetuate these stereotypes and this misinformation, it is too dangerous. And that's why, me personally, I take it seriously. I don't mind you having the conversation about it, but if you're going to have the conversation about it, at least put the correct facts out there so that it can be framed correctly among those who are listening. Because
How's that different than anything else? How's that different than anybody else having a conversation? Is he the first one? Are he and Shannon the first people to go on TV in a hot take or in a talking head or sit down interview to be inaccurate? Are they the
I call those people out too.
So what we're doing,
maybe it's just
I call them out too.
Right. So
maybe it's all good. He said it,
and we're responding.
Maybe it's just the journalist in me.
Don't do that.
But I thought we were supposed to be putting out accurate information to the best of our abilities. And if you don't know these subjects, as Natalie said, then have someone there who does, so that they can speak on it as well. And the other thing here is, and you know this too, Michael Holley.
Jim, they're not.
This conversation is too deep for Shannon Sharpe and Deion Sanders to go on a surface level like this with it, because it goes back to systemic racism and all these other things that are involved in what we're talking about here. So from my standpoint, that's why I think this was bad, because there will be some who will watch this and listen to this and think that everything that Deion and Shannon said is true.
Okay,
they're already running with it.
Okay,
they're already running with it.
With them. Okay, well, great. Okay, now whose fault is that? I'm sorry. Hey, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of misinformation. Jim, I am a journalist, but I'll tell you who's not. Shannon Sharpe has not claimed to be. Deion Sanders hasn't claimed to be. Neither one of them has said, I'm not giving them a pass. No, let me finish. Let me finish my point, and then you can have it back. No, I'm saying what I'm saying, but if you let me finish, I will tell you exactly what the point is. Neither one of them has claimed to be an academic or, hey, I'm a scholar on this. I'm an expert on this. So me, as a consumer, as a journalist, it is up to me to take any information I get, whether it's from Jim Trotter or Natalie or Deion Sanders or Shannon Sharpe. It's up to me to figure out what what sticks and what is trash. So if you're sitting there consuming that and you say, hey, I'm just here, I'm an open vessel, and I will take everything these guys say as fact, then the problem is with you, especially if you're over 18 years old. I'm sorry, I'm not giving them that kind of power that you're giving them. You're holding them to some standard of perfection that they don't have.
It's not perfection.
They don't have that.
The same way we called out Kanye, the same way we called out Kanye and said he perpetuated dangerous things, it's the same thing. So to me, I'm not treating them any different than I would any person. If you have a large platform and you go out and represent misinformation, then I'm going to call you out on it. I don't care who you are, whether you're a journalist or not, because you have a platform. I agree. Just like Kyrie was called out, right? Like, because you have a platform and you may be misrepresenting something. I'm not holding Deion or anyone to any standard that I wouldn't hold someone else. I don't like when misinformation is represented and you're perpetuating negative stereotypes and you're getting on TV and you're admonishing Black people and the people who went to HBCUs about something that isn't correct. That's problematic.
Listen, Jim and Natalie, I think that's great. Well, okay, yeah, cosign. But look what Natalie just said. Natalie said, if you're inaccurate, then I'm going to call you out. So that means that Natalie, an independent thinker, is watching this just like anybody else, sees what she likes, sees the inaccuracies, and calls it out. So don't give me this, oh, well, somebody might watch it. This is the issue I'm taking with what you said, Jim. Somebody's watching this and just going to take it as truth.
Michael, everyone does not have the same level. Everyone doesn't have the same level of training, education, and things like that. So when you're saying that they can do that, everyone is not.
No. And here's the other thing, Michael. You are removing all accountability from Shannon and Deion when you do that. Because essentially what you are saying is, it's okay for you guys to go out and spread misinformation. And if your consumers aren't eager enough or willing to go out and fact check you, that's on them. But we're not going to hold you accountable for knowingly going out and putting out wrong information. I have a problem with that. If you have the platform, if you have the platform that Shannon has and that Deion has, this is just me. I believe you have a larger responsibility. I really do, to put out accurate information on something so sensitive. Again, we're not talking about cover 2 or zone blitz or whatever. This is too serious for that, Michael. That's just how I feel about it.
Right. Can we meet in the middle on this thing? Can we meet in the middle and say, yes, they are putting out things that are not accurate, okay? And let's hold them accountable on that for putting out. So two things can be true. Let's hold them accountable and say, wait a minute, that's actually not right. You said it was 7% or 8%, or you said that the giving is down here.
The general average is 7 or 8%.
Okay, so right, you got it all wrong. You got your information wrong. But then, can we take some responsibility as well? We can call them out. And can we take some responsibility and do a little bit of work when we're listening? When we do this in other things, don't we? I mean, when we hear something that's not quite right, isn't it up to whether you have training or not? If people put out products all the time, they put out information all the time, isn't it up to an adult with common sense to say, I don't know how that sounds. That's not quite right. Let me look into that a little bit more.
Let me ask you this. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying there at all. But what I am asking you is, what is the responsibility of the people who are disseminating this misinformation? When are they accountable in this? In terms of before they ever say it, doing their homework. When do we hold them accountable for not doing their homework?
Okay. Their accountability, to answer your first question, what's their accountability? Significant. When you're talking, whether you're talking, 75 people or millions, like we do on Brother from Another every day, talking to millions of people. No matter what it is, your responsibility. You have a high responsibility. That's right. It's about us. All right. But do you factor in, Natalie? I'm going to ask you this. and this is going to sound like an excuse, and maybe it is. You guys can call me out on this and hold me accountable on this question. Do you think it was an active campaign to disseminate falsehoods by Deion and Shannon, or do you think they just screwed it up? There's a difference. Do you think they actively went in to say, I'm going to shade it this way so you will be on my side? Or, hey, I got a number of information streams coming my way, and I conflated this with that, and I just put it out there. It turns out foolishly and inaccurately, but not maliciously.
So I think that it's probably likely that it wasn't like a conscious decision to misinform, but I do think it was a conscious decision to find numbers to fit a narrative and to tell a story that he wanted to tell. And that's the problem when you look for information to tell a story that you want versus just to get to the truth, right? And I think that that is problematic because now you misrepresented something. And I think when you do have a large platform, you do have a responsibility to make sure that what you are representing is accurate. So honestly, their ignorance doesn't matter to me, right? We say that ignorance is not a defense of the law. Like whether it was intentional or not doesn't really move me. The fact is that you did it.
Last word on this. Last word on this, Trotter. Then we're gonna take a break. And I was foolish enough to think, we'll start off with, we'll talk about this for like 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll talk about the Pro Bowl. No. So last word, Trotter. You got it.
No, it's just, again, it's just, I know people are going to think as if we have something against Shannon or Deion. I respect both of them. I do. And I think what Shannon does, his show is great and whatnot. But again, on a topic that's this sensitive and this important, I think it's important that you do your research and that you know your facts before you speak on this. I can deal with all the shenanigans with football and all this, that, and the other, but this is way too important for that. And that's why I say to you, Michael, to me, yeah, we can call them out after the fact, but after the fact, the damage has been done. So how about doing your research beforehand so we never have to allow this misinformation to get out in the public sphere where now we're trying to catch up to it, right? And some of these people who have heard it and who might not hear us, although millions are listening or watching us, we may never get to them. So that's all I'm saying here. Look, again, yeah, I love Shannon's show. I love what he does. You know, I got respect for Deion too. There's nothing personal there. It's just, it's too important. It's too important.
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad we had this family conversation. Hey, as I said, Jim, in the beginning, happy holidays, right? Happy holidays. This is what we do. As a matter of fact, I should call, we're not going to be doing the show on Christmas. I should call you on Christmas and be like, hey, happy holidays, Jim, to you and your family. By the way, man, you know, another thing I want to say about Deion Sanders, and I'm just gonna mess up your Christmas. We're gonna keep arguing about this. We'll keep going.
Nah. We can argue about it when I'm paid for it. When I'm not paid for it, it's nothing to argue
about. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's all about. I thought you were doing it for the love. I thought it's all about the money. It's all about the money now. See, you can't talk about Deion. You can't talk about Deion going for the money. You all about the money too. Oh, I see.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Natalie. Great stuff. All right, Ja Morant. Man, y'all ain't even been to the conference finals. The Memphis Grizzlies have not been to the conference finals. But Morant was asked by Malika Andrews, hey, who's the title run through? He says, the Celtics. The Celtics in the Eastern Conference. But I'm fine. He got quote, I'm fine in the West. You are? You're fine in the West? So I think Ja Morant has woken up the Western Conference. For those who were asleep, they are now awake. And somebody who knows Ja Morant very well is Mark Spears from Anscape, our friend. First of all, happy holidays to you, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You look like an old school,
I didn't get
radio DJ.
I didn't get the memo like, about the swag.
Hey,
y'all look
like, was that
when you come from one job to another, you don't have time to change, you know?
Y'all look,
was that Samuel Jackson?
I said, y'all looking like you're going to some upscale church Christmas party.
That's right.
A mega church.
Hey, you look like if Samuel Jackson and Do the Right Thing. He was a DJ then, right? Wasn't he the one sitting there shouting people out? Anyway, let me ask you. What's Ja Morant thinking? What's Ja Morant thinking with that statement, Mark?
The Grizzlies and Ja Morant talk more trash than any team in the league. That's what they do. It's no surprise to me. That's what they do. They've been talking. They're that loud kid, screaming down the block, letting you know they outside. That's them. And if you ask them,
is it deserved though, Mark? Is it deserved?
They don't care if it's deserved or not. They feel like if Ja didn't get hurt, that they would have beat the Warriors. So there's a chip on their shoulder about that. Remember last year in the playoffs, they beat the Warriors, right, to knock them out of the play-in thing.
I mean, year before, yeah. So year before last.
No, it was 2021. 2022.
The season before last season.
Right. Last year.
Okay. Man, no, it wasn't last year. It wasn't last season. It was the season before. Anyway, go ahead.
I said last year. Anyway.
You want to fight too. We want to fight. Yeah. We're going to have fights.
No, man, but that's how it is with these two teams. They hate each other. There is a rivalry there. That's why it crushed me when Steph got hurt with this game on the horizon. The NBA purposely, I don't think they've played yet. They purposely kept this for Christmas. This was supposed to be the marquee matchup of Christmas. And now Steph getting hurt, Klay's not playing every night, the Warriors are reeling. It took out a lot of the luster of that game. But that doesn't mean that the Grizzlies aren't going to come into San Francisco and try to make a San Francisco treat out of them. They're gonna try to destroy them. Same way everybody else is right now.
I think they'll be 6. Hey, Mark, well, let me just interrupt there because I want to talk about the Warriors. I want to make sure we get this in. Hey, you said going to try to. They will be successful. The Warriors suck. They suck
at home. They're a good team at home, though.
Not without Steph, they won't be. And I know Wiggins. I know they got some people out. I got it.
Yeah, but they need Wiggins back in the worst way.
Listen to Steve Kerr last night. Hey, this rock bottom and all. We got to figure out what we're going to do.
I mean, you got
calling out Jordan Poole.
He should have
called out Jordan Poole too.
He needs to call out Kuminga too. Kuminga wants to be on this high level. He wants to be a starter. He wants big minutes.
Yeah.
So this is your time, young fella. Same with Poole. Poole, 41 game and then struggles the next game. There needs to be consistency with that. The Warriors really want to have these young guys step in. And, it's mostly Steph, but we can't diminish what Wiggins brings to this team offensively and defensively. And then if you got Klay out too, they ain't got no shot. So I'm not sure Wiggins' status. Maybe he'll be back for Christmas. I'm guessing Klay will play, but these young dudes need to step out. And so I was actually really happy yesterday for James Wiseman, who certainly has been beat up, who certainly hasn't lived up to expectations, but he went to the G League, was focused, and the number 2 pick from a couple. I'm not going to give you the year because you're sensitive on people saying years.
I was just saying. Hey, Jim Trotter was just telling us, Jim Trotter was telling us about accuracy. So I'm just, brother, I'm just trying to be accurate. So, okay. Lord. I just want to make sure we are accurate here. So go ahead.
No, but Wiseman was the only light in a horrible game. But hey, man, if this continues for the Warriors, one thing I thought about is, just like a couple years ago, you might see the Warriors and the Lakers playing for a play-in game again, the way things are going right now. But look how close everything is to. It's a lot of basketball to be played, and there's no team in the Western Conference that's running away and trying to take off.
Mark, what's interesting, you brought up Wiseman, and Natalie and I have had this conversation before about how he fits into the big picture with the Warriors. Knowing the system that they run, he does not appear to be a good fit for what they do. I just wonder from your perspective, how you feel about that. Because I think he's immensely talented, and I think he will one day be a star in this league.
Yeah.
But will it be in this system that the Warriors run?
I disagree with that because I think he could be what Bogut was to them. You know, when they were rolling for their early championships, catching lobs, dunking, blocking shots. They have no size and no inside presence without him. You know, Looney's okay, but they're not really giving the ball to Looney. This kid is really, really talented. He is special talented. Yes. And that's why I thought last night was big for him. They need him to step up in the worst way. He's got to shake off the injuries. He's got to shake off the expectations and the disappointment. Like, you can't just have 30, right? Like, that's something. People, I don't care if it was a blowout or whatever. 30 is 30. And so right now, like, they talk so much about Poole and they talk so much about Kuminga and Moody. But before Wiseman got hurt, he was supposed to be the young savior. He was supposed to be the next, like, David Robinson type. And I'm glad they haven't given up on him. I'm glad they haven't traded him. But the same way, like, the Warriors need Poole to be consistent and Kuminga to be consistent, they need Wiseman to be consistent. Like, he had 30. Like, young fella, next game, I'm not saying he has to have 30 every night, but you should at least be able to give them some 15s and 7s, some 15s and 8. They really need their young guys to step up during all these injuries that the vets are having.
Mark, let me ask you this real quick. Do you think the Warriors will be
in the first half, though? Ooh, gave up 91 in the first half. That's just
that's horrible.
Well, Brooklyn didn't miss a shot.
Yeah.
Mark, do you think the Warriors at all will get involved by the trade deadline or make some sort of move to address this roster right now?
That's a good question because that means giving up on some of their youth. That's
correct.
That's what the rest of the teams are going to want.
Right.
There might be some interest in Wiseman. They'll definitely be interested in Kuminga and all their young guys. Poole. That is a question. I think if things look bad, then they probably just leave it alone, right? Because the next year's draft is pretty good. There's that kid in France. There's that kid in the G League. Like, they got some people. Not that they would be that bad, but this season is not like, Trotter's NFL, man. Like, they only got 50 games left. Like, let's not remember how bad things were for the Lakers early in the season. As bad, as bad as the Lakers are, they're actually been winning some games until AD got hurt. Yeah, I mean, there's just too much basketball now. But to answer your question, Jim, trade deadline will be interesting because they definitely need some more size. They need some more veterans. And also, when you're a team like them who are champs, that's a popular destination, even if they don't do anything at the trade deadline, they could be able to do something with players that are cut at the trade deadline. And then another question is Iguodala ever going to play? That's like the elephant in the room that nobody talks about. Like, he hasn't played a game this season.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but from an outsider's point of view, I always felt he was brought back as that sort of coach on the floor, if you will, like in practice and whatnot with all of these young players. I never really expected Andre to do anything for them this year. Was I wrong in thinking that way?
Maybe not, but I think they need him. And if he's just going to be a coach, then maybe they should just make him a coach and use that roster spot for somebody that could help him.
Great point.
They're using two-way guys right now, like our guy Lamb, and like they got two-way guys that are playing major minutes for them. They could use that roster spot.
Why are we tripping though? You went about the elephant in the room. No, the real elephant in the room is why. So you got a coach who's not really a coach in Iguodala, and then you got a coach on the floor, but they need him to be a player. And that's Draymond. Like, Draymond had 2 points last night. He had 2 points. Like, You need a little bit more from Draymond too. Isn't that a brother who needs to be called out as well?
He's not really a scorer though. That's not what he's there for.
Right.
That's what Poole is
a
there
facilitator.
For.
Well,
yeah.
What?
If he had 8, you wouldn't have said nothing about it.
Hey, okay, fine. But he had 2. Hey, listen, every little bit counts. We all need to step up. It's like his family. It's his family conversation. It's a family conversation when the resources need to be pulled together. No pun intended, Jordan. When the resources need to be pulled together, you say, all right, we lost a daddy. This is like in Good Times. You know, daddy lost his job. Or James lost his job. So we got to figure this out. Draymond, your 2 points.
But again, like you can't treat this like points. The NFL. You can't treat like this is one game, man. They forgot about that game already.
Okay.
And let's give the Nets some credit. They had 3 starters out, and the Nets. Yeah, Kyrie was out, but the Nets are rolling. All right, let's give the Nets some respect. They're back in it, man. The drama is gone.
Yes. They're dangerous.
And they're hooping, and Jock Vaughn's doing.
Excusing a 91-point half. You should be ashamed of yourself. Why'd you even come to the arena? That's just. It's like what? It's the biggest, the most lopsided score in almost like 30 years, right? Hey, come
on.
Look,
let me say this, Michael. Leave Draymond alone from this standpoint. And this is just from an outsider's point of view, watching his body language and whatnot. He appears completely frustrated playing with these young kids who his game is so intellectual in terms of being on a higher plane, playing with Steph and Clay, and the things that he does, the little things, the subtle things, the nuances that the casual fan won't notice, that these young guys just do not do. All of it. That these guys have no concept of right now. I don't know I'm not saying they won't develop into that, but I'm saying right now. And he just looks to me completely frustrated because his game is, as you know, is not predicated on scoring. It is about again.
3 starters.
It's about
if the Nets played without
I'm so sick of y'all. I'm so sick of y'all.
If they play without Kevin, they had 3 stars. What you want them to do?
Stop.
You want Chris Mullin to come back? And Chris Mullin's not walking through that door. What do you? They had 3 starters out. Why are you so angry about a team that had 3 starters out?
I will give you. So look, Steph.
Now I know why you wore green today, man. You're a Grinch. He's a Grinch today.
Hey, Steve.
Did you have money on that game or something? Why are you so worried about that game?
Maybe I did. Okay, maybe I did.
They had 3 starters out. 3 starters.
So Steph is out. Steph is hurt. So
MVP
we get
candidate,
Steph.
A dude that was All-Star last year.
Wiggins is hurt.
A future Hall of Famer.
I get it, but you kind of created like I don't want to hear the third starter. Okay, you have chosen to do this little thing, this back and forth. We're not gonna play back-to-backs with Clay.
Yeah.
Okay, that you built your team that way. So I'm supposed to make an excuse for you? You build a team that you're reliant on a guy who doesn't play. Who? Mark?
Who asked you to make an excuse?
Mark did.
They're playing terrible
they had 3
basketball.
Starters out.
Well, they do.
They got 3 starters out, man.
They're playing terrible basketball without those starters.
You didn't say nothing about them beating Toronto without 2 of those guys.
See, that's good. That's what you should do. Compete. I want your compete level to be up there. But Mark Spears, I love you, man. You know that. I love you.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays, brother. We'll see you in
Merry
2023.
Christmas,
Love y'all, brother.
Happy New Year.
I'm gonna get you
All
some
right,
AirPods
Grinch.
though. AirPods.
Hey, I left them at home.
That's my
I'm being
that's my
resourceful.
Christmas gift to you.
I'm being resourceful. That's what happened.
All right, Jim, I mentioned it off the top that this is our last show of 2023, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody. It has been a great year. We always look at this. We get so involved in the show, Jim, so deep in the process, so deep in the woods that we forget we're still new. This show started in September of 2020. Let me see. I'm not great at math. It's 2022, so we're 2 years old. So we are out of diapers. We are going to the potty, but we got a long way to go. But I appreciate everybody who has hung with us. I want you to have a happy holidays. And Jim, thanks to you too, man. Thanks for being a part of the show.
No, man, I truly appreciate you guys having me. It's been a blessing. So much fun. I want to wish a happy holiday to everyone out there, to you and your family, Michael Smith and his family, and just say, people be kind to each other, please.
Oh, yeah, we'll try. Hey, we'll see y'all in 23. Enjoy it. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.